Hello, welcome to my channel. I'm Lillian, and at 55 years old, I find myself reflecting on the unexpected turns life has taken. As a stepmom, I always assumed my role would be straightforward, supportive, nurturing, and a guiding presence for my stepson, Jake. But as the years have passed, I've discovered that my feelings are anything but simple. Jake is 19 now, a handsome young man whose bright smile has the power to light up the darkest corners of my heart. His best friend Ryan is 20, charming and carefree. He has a way of making everyone around him feel special. Together, they fill my home with laughter, yet I often feel an ache of loneliness that lingers, growing stronger with each passing day. Tom, my husband, is a wonderful man, dedicated to his job and our family. He works long hours, leaving me with an emptiness that I try to fill with distractions. But the truth is, when he's gone, I can't shake the feeling that something is missing in my life. While I love Tom deeply, his absence has awakened desires I didn't know I had. As I navigate this complex emotional landscape, I found myself looking at Jake and Ryan in ways I never imagined possible. One sultry summer evening, we decided to go for a drive to a scenic overlook. The air was thick with anticipation as we piled into my car, the excitement palpable. The sun dipped lower in the sky, casting a warm glow that seemed to set the perfect mood for what was to come. I couldn't help but glance back at Jake and Ryan, who were joking and laughing, their camaraderie a stark contrast to the silence I felt creeping into my heart. As we drove, the winding roads led us through thick trees, and I felt a strange mix of joy and longing. I was thrilled to spend time with these two young men, but I also felt the weight of my own desires simmering just beneath the surface. Their playful banter filled the car, and as the moments passed, I noticed the subtle way Jake's gaze lingered on me when he thought I wasn't looking, a flicker of something unspoken hanging in the air. When we arrived at the overlook, the sun hung low, casting golden rays that shimmered against the horizon. I parked the car and turned to face them. "What do you think?" I asked, my voice tinged with excitement. The beauty of the moment enveloped us, and I felt an undeniable pull toward both of them. "This is amazing," Jake exclaimed, jumping out of the car first, eager to catch the view. Ryan followed, and I took a moment to appreciate the sight of them, young and full of life. As I exited the car, I felt the warmth of the evening wash over me. We moved closer to the edge of the overlook, the world below fading away as the sky transformed into a canvas of vibrant colors. I felt alive, surrounded by nature and the laughter of my stepson and his friend. "Let's take a picture," Ryan suggested, his eyes sparkling with excitement. Jake and I positioned ourselves on either side of him, and as he held the phone to capture the moment, I couldn't help but feel a sense of belonging. After a few snaps, we began to relax into the moment, the mood shifting from playful to introspective. As we stood together, the three of us, the air thick with unspoken words, I felt Jake's shoulder brush against mine. A spark ignited, and for a moment, time stood still. I turned to see Jake looking at me, his eyes deep and searching. "You know, you're really beautiful," he said, his voice low and sincere. The compliment sent a rush through me, causing my heart to race. "I mean it, Lillian." "Thank you, Jake," I replied, trying to play it cool, but my cheeks flushed with warmth. Ryan chimed in, "Yeah, you're like the coolest stepmom ever." His playful tone eased the tension, but the weight of Jake's words lingered in the air. Feeling bold, I took a step closer, teasingly nudging Jake's shoulder. "You boys just know how to charm a lady, don't you?" I laughed, but inside, I felt a thrilling anticipation. As we chatted, the conversation flowed effortlessly, but my thoughts drifted. I could sense a shift in the atmosphere, the closeness of our bodies creating an undeniable tension. I tried to ignore it, but it was as if a magnetic force was drawing us together. I felt Jake's presence behind me, the heat radiating off him almost palpable. Without warning, as I leaned slightly to check my phone for the time, Jake shifted in the cramped space, accidentally placing his hand on my thigh. The unexpected contact sent a shockwave through me, my breath catching in my throat. I froze, our eyes locking for a heartbeat that felt like an eternity. Ryan was oblivious, still lost in the beauty of the sunset, but I could feel the electricity coursing between Jake and me. My heart raced, and a thrill of desire washed over me. I could see the surprise flicker across Jake's face, quickly replaced by a boldness that made my pulse quicken. "Sorry," he exclaimed, his voice slightly shaky, but instead of pulling away, he let his hand linger for just a moment longer. The warmth of his palm against my skin ignited something deep inside me. It was a simple touch, yet it felt like a promise of something more, something daring and forbidden. In that brief moment, I was acutely aware of the growing tension in the air, a mixture of fear and exhilaration. I could sense Ryan shifting his attention, but the world around us faded into a blur. All that mattered was the warmth of Jake's hand on my thigh and the way his gaze held mine, a silent question hanging between us. As we parked at the scenic overlook, the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm, golden glow over everything. I turned to Jake, my stepson, and Ryan, his friend, both of them seated in the back of the car, laughter echoing around us. "I can't believe how beautiful it is," Jake said, his gaze drifting out toward the horizon. "Yeah, it's stunning," Ryan added, but I could see their eyes flicking to me, a mischievous glint sparking between them. I smiled, feeling a sense of warmth wash over me. "It really is. I'm glad we decided to come here." With the sun setting, I knew I had to seize the moment. "Jake, Ryan, there's something I need to tell you both," I began, looking at them intently, but the playful banter in the car was suddenly interrupted as Ryan leaned forward, his face inches from mine. "What is it, Lillian?" he asked, a teasing tone in his voice. Before I could answer, Jake leaned in too, a playful challenge igniting between them. "Yeah, what's the secret?" he asked, smirking as he watched me closely. The atmosphere felt charged, electric. I had never felt so alive, and the temptation was undeniable. "Maybe I shouldn't say," I said coyly, feeling the blush rise to my cheeks. With a swift glance at each other, the boys exchanged an unreadable look, and in that moment, they both leaned in closer, bridging the space between us. "Come on, we're curious," Ryan encouraged, his voice low and inviting. As they moved in closer, my heart raced. I found myself drawn to the intensity in their gazes, feeling a rush of excitement mixed with the thrill of the forbidden. Okay, I said, deciding to take the plunge. "I've been feeling a little lonely. You both have been such a joy in my life, and sometimes I wish things were a bit different." Jake raised an eyebrow, his eyes gleaming with intrigue. "Different how?" he prompted. In an unexpected burst of courage, I leaned in slightly, allowing my lips to hover near Jake's ear. "Like this," I whispered, before turning my head and capturing his lips in a soft, hesitant kiss. The warmth of his mouth ignited something inside me, and the world around us faded away. To my surprise, Ryan moved closer, his breath mingling with ours as he watched with wide eyes, curiosity transforming into something more primal. As Jake deepened the kiss, Ryan's fingers brushed against my arm, his touch sending shivers down my spine. "Wow," Jake breathed, pulling back just slightly, his eyes filled with disbelief and desire. "I didn't expect that." "Neither did I admitted, my heart racing. But before I could think of a response, Ryan leaned in, stealing a kiss of his own, his lips pressing against mine with unexpected urgency. My breath caught in my throat, and the moment felt surreal as I found myself caught between both boys, their energy enveloping me. "What's happening?" I gasped, feeling a mix of thrill and panic. "I think we're all feeling the same thing," Ryan replied, his eyes flicking back to Jake as if seeking permission. The silent communication between them was electric, and I couldn't help but feel the pulse of attraction. Jake nodded, a knowing smile spreading across his face. "Let's explore this," he said, the warmth in his voice soothing my nerves. With that unspoken agreement, the tension between us thickened. I could feel the heat radiating from both of them as they shifted closer. Jake took my hand, intertwining our fingers, while Ryan moved closer, his warmth seeping into my side. "Lillian, I've wanted this for so long," Jake confessed, his voice low and filled with longing. "I feel the same way," I admitted, my heart racing. Ryan placed a hand on my thigh, inching closer. "Is this really happening?" he asked, disbelief coloring his tone. "Yes," I breathed, my heart pounding as I leaned in again, capturing Jake's lips in another kiss. This time, it was filled with urgency and need, and I could feel Ryan's gaze burning into us. Ryan shifted closer, moving to capture my other hand. "Can I?" he asked, and my heart raced at the question, my body responding before my mind could catch up. With a nod, I allowed him to draw closer, our breaths mingling in the tight space of the car. As the kiss deepened, Jake's hands explored my back, his fingers dancing along my spine while Ryan's hand slid up my thigh, grounding me in a whirlwind of sensation. The kisses grew more passionate, a dizzying mix of emotions and desires taking over. I could feel Jake's hands pressing against my chest, fingers grazing over my blouse, igniting every nerve ending with their touch. It felt exhilarating, overwhelming in the best way possible. Jake open up my bra and start kissing, and Ryan start kissing on lips, and it was so beautiful feeling, both young boys doing with very passionate way, and they pushed me on a seat so that I can lay down, and I don't know who is doing what. I just closed my eyes, because it feels so good and I feel so lucky. Just think about what we could do when we get home, Jake murmured between kisses, his breath hot against my skin. The idea sent shivers down my spine. What do you have in mind? I whispered, my voice filled with intrigue. Ryan's lips found their way to my ear, his breath warm and inviting. Why don't we find out together? He suggested, the seductive tone sending a wave of excitement through me. As our kisses turned desperate, I could feel my inhibitions slipping away, consumed by the thrill of the moment. It felt as if the world outside had disappeared, leaving only the three of us in a cocoon of desire. I pressed my body closer to Jake, the heat radiating between us intoxicating. I can't believe this is happening, I whispered against his lips, feeling the warmth of his body against mine. Ryan's fingers danced along my thigh, teasingly close to the hem of my dress. I leaned into him, feeling the heat of his body pressing against mine, intoxicating me further. Lillian, Jake breathed, pulling away for a brief moment, his eyes filled with longing. We need to talk about what this means. Right now, I don't care about anything else, I replied, feeling the urgency of the moment. As if in agreement, they leaned in again, our lips crashing together in a heated kiss, our breaths mingling in a sensual dance. My hands found their way to Jake's chest, feeling the steady beat of his heart beneath my fingertips. Ryan shifted, positioning himself in front of me, and our lips met in a frenzy of passion. I felt the warmth of his body as I pressed closer, surrendering to the moment completely. Just then, the sound of laughter from Liam broke through the tension, pulling us back to reality. Hey, can we go? I'm getting bored back here, he called out, oblivious to the fire that had ignited moments before. Maybe we should, I started, but Jake's hand remained on my thigh, grounding me in the warmth of the moment. Just one more kiss? Jake asked, his eyes sparkling with mischief and desire. I nodded, leaning in once more, capturing his lips in a passionate kiss that left me breathless. As our mouths moved together, I could feel the heat of Ryan's body nearby, his gaze filled with longing and anticipation. Let's take this further, he murmured, moving closer as the kiss deepened, our bodies intertwining in a whirlwind of passion. The thrill of the forbidden wrapped around us, and I found myself lost in the heat of the moment, my heart racing with the intoxicating promise of what was to come. But as the laughter faded into the distance, I knew that the secret we were sharing in this car was only the beginning.